Let's review Weeylite K21 LED rechargeable light stick. This is ArtIsRight. Before we start, subscribe if you're new and hit on the bell icon so you'll be notified every time I upload cool new videos like this. For full disclosure, Weeylite sent me these for review. All the opinions you're about to hear on my own. This is pretty much about a foot long, 30 centimeters, and I think the width is about like 4 centimeters, so like about an inch or so. It is an LED light stick that can go from 2,500 to 8,500 Kelvin, so you can change the color temperature to a pretty wide range. It can also do 360 degrees RGB, so you can do different colors like you're seeing on my mini set right now. In addition to that, there are also different scene mode that you can choose as well, like with all Weeylite product or many Weeylite product. The thing about this is that you are going to get a little bit more capability out of the different scene mode because it pretty much has a RGB 360 as well. So you have this frosted white dome on pretty much the top and the bottom. There is a standard, I would say 3/8 inch screw thread on both ends, so you can pretty much link multiple of them together using like different connectors and everything. You can angle them. You can get multiple of these, and I think the price point they're selling these at are really compelling. So it has a rechargeable lithium battery on the inside, and these can run for about an hour at full power. If you lower the power, you can go up to around 6 hours depending on how much power you're really running this at. So for the light stick itself, you have the Weeylite K21 name on the very back. You have some specifications. You have a little screen that tells you the output function and everything, the firmware version of this, and now I'm pretty much blowing that up to smithereens because this is way too bright. Let's bring that down. And you have all these button controls. There are pretty much just 4 buttons, or 5 rather, because there's a power button there, and there is a USB Type-C connection charger. So what you get in a box is pretty much just this light stick and also a USB-A to USB-C, and that's all you get. That means you have to provide your own adapter, but because it is USB Type-C, it makes life fairly easy to charge this up. So in playing with this, what do I think about it? So as I mentioned already, there are many uses for this, for portrait, for both still and also video. If you want to do that, if you're doing an interview with someone, you want to have like an accent light, I think these are definitely perfect for that. Or just even as a key light, if you just want to travel light with 3 of these, you can do one key fill and then another one as like a hair light like I'm doing right now, or even on like this side. I didn't bring the power up, but you start to get the idea for what you can do with these. Now the other thing I really like about this too is that there are certain things you can do with product shots that you cannot do with, for example, the big lights that I have in my studio. And that is to do something, I would probably say like a lightsaber or something like this, where you're bringing the light across, as you're seeing right now on the shot. You can see I'm bringing the highlight across the different products. This is something that you can do with a light like this, especially if you link it onto like a longer boom or something like that. You can certainly do some cool effects like what I'm showing you now. And this is something that's much harder to do with, for example, like a large studio light. So this is another thing I really like about this. I think these lights have a lot of really great capabilities. And the one thing that we cannot overlook is the fact that, well, it links up with the Weeylite on the mobile app. Now with Weeylite, another thing that you get with this is their smart app. So you can certainly use Weeylite smart app with this. And the one nice thing about Weeylite smart app is that you don't have to link up the Bluetooth on the phone, authenticator, or anything like that. The smart app just detects the Bluetooth signal and it automatically links to all these lights. So on the app, you can do a few things. I can change the power. I can change the color temperature, so I can make this like super warm if I want to. I can also make this super cold at 8,500 Kelvin. I can tap on the preset temperature, makes life really easy. I can do HSI. Now this is the one that will work on these lights, but again, because they don't do any type of zoning, they all work together. So I can change the power output. Let's go with a lighter power. This way we don't overpower the Hello Kitty, and I can change like the saturation even to make it either more white or more of the color. And I can choose, for example, I can go around and change the color live in real time. Again, this is really a powerful tool. Let's say if you just use traditional lighting to light up the front and you just want to change the highlight or the accent light on a product in the back, what you can certainly do is just literally circle this around. You can see how that's constantly changing, which I think this is a very interesting way to do your setup, especially for a product like this. If you're just doing an interview or doing a continuous light photography session, I'd probably leave this at a set temperature and just do gray card balance at the very beginning or a white balance card at the very beginning and just call it a day and don't like do much changes to that. But if you're doing a set like this and you just want to have more dynamic changes in your product, this is certainly something that you can do. And there's also the different scene mode you can choose. For example, that was the flash mode. You can do fireworks and it will automatically like change to like different colors and everything, which is kind of neat. You can do burst, blink, I can do flame. So there's all these different effects that you can do with it. Again, still everyone under the same zone. So after playing around with this K21 light stick, what do I think? Well, I really like them. One thing that I will point out is that Weeylite have sent me 3 of these. 2 of them are on firmware version 1.1. One of them is on firmware version 1.0. And when I set these up at the same color temperature, you're going to notice that one of them is actually off from the rest. So if you are getting multiple of these, a couple recommendation is to think about how many you may want to get. And especially if you're going to do it for like a white light scenario, I would probably get them all at once. This way you get the same version of the firmware from the same manufacturer batch so that the colors of the LED, especially when you set it to just pretty much white at different color temperatures or different Kelvin temperatures would match. That would be my first thing, because it's one of those things where it's not just only the firmware that's different. I think the LEDs are actually tuned different from the factory too, from different batches. So I would just make sure that that happens. That would be the first thing that I would do if I'm getting these. Otherwise, I think they are really great. They have a lot of creative capabilities that I really like. They're light, they're small, they're compact. You can take them on the road with you. And I mean, I will take this when I'm going on location, especially if I need like a studio light or something to take with me. Rather than carrying like big lights, I think this works really well for like a one-person interview. These are, I think, going to be amazing. Now, because they have the magnetic on the end, I really love that too, because if you have anything that is magnetic, for example, a hinge on the cabinet, a C-stand, or if you have a light stand that's made out of metal and not aluminum, because I tried to use the aluminum one, it didn't stick to it, obviously. But if you have anything that's metal, I mean, this will just stick to it. It works really well. And the other thing that I've been using these for, beyond just photography and video, it's pretty much just as a light, as almost like a flashlight. Yes, granted, it's not like directional or anything like that, but it does illuminate the area fairly well if I'm in like a dark studio or something like that. The other thing that I use too is when I'm, for example, like packing my car, packing my belongings, I use these. I stick it on top of like, you know, the car trunk lid or something like that and have it like shine down. Or when I'm actually moving things around my studio, if I have like a shelf that's dark, I find somewhere to put this on, or just pretty much attach it via the magnet, and I can use it that way too. So this is a multi-purpose light that goes just beyond creative for photography. But if you want to use this for creative photography, like I said, just the effects that I'm showing you right now, the purple moving around, these are just the really cool things you can do with these lights, and they have a lot of creative potential. A few additional information I'd like to share with you about these K21 LED light stick is that they use an 8-watt LED system with an output of 670 lumens. This may not be the highest lumen output. However, considering this is 0.6 pounds or 270 grams, and the length of this is 1 foot or 30 centimeters, it's really not that bad at all, and it has a built-in lithium-ion battery. With the frosted cover in the front, if you set this really close to the subject and you turn the light up to like 100%, you can really get nice soft lighting on the subject, because it's not really how much power it can output, it's how close you can set the light to the subject yourself. And if you're doing a close-up on an interview, or you're doing a live photo session, for example, with continuous light, and you're just really just doing a headshot, this can really do wonders because of the weight and everything, and the fact that it can really get up close to a person, but it doesn't really have to overwhelm a person like a softbox or anything like that. It's just literally that stick there. So it's a lot less intimidating than, I would say, a large softbox. Now, I'm not discouraging you from using a large softbox, but if you want to use this on location and you want to carry travel light or carry light, this is definitely the way to go. A couple other things I also want to share with you is that Weeylite mentioned that this has a CRI, the color rendering index, of 95 and the TLCI of 97. And anytime a light manufacturer gives these value out, I always take that with I would say a dose of skepticism, not because they're not accurate, but because they don't tell you all the information. They don't tell you exactly what color temperature they measure this at. They don't tell you what intensity to measure this at to get those values, because at each different color temperature and intensity, the CRI and the TLCI value will change with all those different settings that you choose. So it would be good to know the range that they have set this at. I mean, it would just be great to see that. Now, the thing that I will tell you though, and this is something that I mentioned before with the firmware difference between these two, I believe that one of them is from one batch, the other two is from the other batch. And when it said it's the same color temperature, it's off by a little bit. Even with the CRI of 95, it does give me a little pause. But considering the price point of these are not ever meant to be, you know, like Kino Flow Light or anything like that, that are, you know, these super color accurate. Every single bulb is like tested from the factory. So at the price point of these, I would just have fun with it and not worry too much about that. But if you are, like I said, buy them all in the same batch, and that will definitely help eliminate the problem. And if you don't get them all from like the same batch with the same firmware, I would just ask them kindly for an exchange, and I'm sure they will be more than happy to help you accommodate that. So anyway, I hope that you find these K21 Lite review helpful. I have a few of these now, and I might be getting more just to add into like my studio because I really like these. But anyway, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Give us a like, subscribe, and hit the bell you're new, and in all we trust.